Om Namah Shivaya. Chapter 11, verse 6. The syllable Om is only consciousness. Consciousness itself is all. Bliss is the supreme measure. All of this that is seen is nothing. Om is all, and Om transcends all. What is it? Only consciousness. Om is Saguna Brahman, Brahman with attributes, and Nirguna Brahman, attributeless Brahman. What is this Om? Only consciousness. Om is all that appears in the three states of mind, though remaining transcendent of the states and their content. What is this Om? Only consciousness. We begin spiritual instruction with Om, and we conclude with Om. What is being invoked? What is being expressed? That is only consciousness. Consciousness itself is all. All that you're ever aware of consists in substance, in essence, of only consciousness. Bliss is the supreme measure. Bliss is itself at the very root of discrimination. For just as we know, we exist always. And just as knowledge is always, likewise, bliss is always and appears as the discerning of what is happiness and what is not. Bliss is the supreme measure. If it is real, it is bliss. If it is not blissful, it is not real. All this that is seen is nothing. We should understand the term seen to refer to all of the sensations of whatever kind. He says, all that is ever seen, that is, all that is ever sensed, is nothing. It is completely unreal. Your senses cannot determine reality at all. All that is seen is but the mind's imagination. Imagination is nothing. Yet there is reality, for he previously said consciousness itself is all. What is it that is mistaken as all, but which in truth is entirely formless and real? Consciousness is. It is existence. Do not mistake the sensations for it. All that you've ever seen is not there. All that you hear is similarly not there. Likewise with all that is touched, smelled, and tasted. All of that he declares to be nothing. From where do you know the nothing? That which never becomes a thing, but which is itself not anything, not nothing, is the reality of consciousness. Om expresses it, indicates it. Discern it by that which is innately blissful within you. All this that is seen is nothing. Then, if this be so, who is the seer? Verse 7. I myself am also bliss. I myself am changeless consciousness. Bliss is the supreme measure. All this that is seen is nothing. The intense, pure, everlasting happiness for which you always long should be known as your very existence. I myself am also bliss. Bliss is not something that comes to you. What comes goes. Rather, bliss is what you are. What knows bliss, what experiences bliss, is only bliss itself. If there should appear distinct individual to be the experiencer of bliss or lack of it, that is not the supreme measure. Bliss itself is the supreme measure, the right discernment. If it is not something that appears and disappears, that comes and goes, but it is changeless, then bliss must be the very nature of consciousness. And I myself am changeless consciousness. Not anything that changes, not any of it, the body or the mind, is you. Not any of it is you. You are only consciousness. How immediate is consciousness? It is right where you are. There's no distance, no interval, no separation at all. removed by discrimination from your sense of identity all that is changeful, and see what remains. What remains is consciousness bliss, the supreme measure. As for all this that always changes, all this that is seen is nothing. So in ignorance, one does not notice the changeless consciousness. It becomes engrossed in the changeful delusions or illusions. In knowledge, one knows that the changeless consciousness alone is real, and alone is the self. And one remains completely unattached to all this that is nothing. And what is nothing will not disturb the unchanging one. Inquire in search of what is changeless. Inquire in search of consciousness, which is not far away. All this that is sensed is unreal and not you. The same applies to thinking. Changeful thoughts are not you. There are modes and states of mind, but no modes or states of consciousness, which is unchanging. Do not confuse the changeful unreal for the changeless reality. Verse 8. I myself am the mysterious self. I myself am the intersticeless. Bliss is the supreme measure. All this that is seen is nothing. Who has ever been able to capture the nature of the self with thought? Seeking with thought, the self remains a mystery. One is aware of it, it seems not to discern it. It is incomprehensible to the mind. What the seeker has to realize is that mysterious self is actually oneself. I myself am the mysterious self. In that union of identity, the mystery is no longer mysterious, but is self-evident. Who or what has ever accurately described the self? Even the Upanishads, the crest of the Vedas, have been unable to do so. Though that is entirely their focus. By inquiring profoundly, who am I? That mysterious self is found to be oneself, the only self there is. And being of the nature of consciousness, how could it remain hidden to itself? I myself am the intersticeless. What gaps are there in your existence? What interruptions are there in your consciousness? Inquiring in this way, you find there are no intervals in your bliss. So bliss is the supreme measure, uninterrupted, never pausing, just always is. One existence, consciousness, bliss. As for all this, which is so changeful, fleeting, sporadic, appearing in only certain states of mind and not appearing in others, all this is nothing. Verse 9. I myself am the Supreme Brahman. I myself am the teacher of teachers, the guru of gurus. Bliss is the supreme measure. All this that is seen is nothing. I myself am the Supreme Brahman. It is a statement of reality, a declaration of identity. Brahman is non-dual, which means it is one without a second, without anything as another, and without alternative. So that the I that knows I am the Supreme Brahman can be only of the nature of Brahman and nothing else. The realization of Brahman is complete liberation from the entire samsara. And for the realization of Brahman, you have only to deeply inquire, who am I? Or if known clearly and properly as it is, I, the I, myself, am the Supreme Brahman. When, having inquired, you realize Brahman, your happiness is full. This is the supreme measure. It is entirely peaceful and ever free. It is complete, perfectly full. I myself am the teacher of teachers, the guru of gurus. Dakshinamurti is the primordial guru. Who was his guru? If he is primordial, there is no one who came before him. What is the nature of that guru of gurus? Absolute consciousness, absolute bliss, absolute being. All who realize self-knowledge by devoted inquiry realize the presence of this Guru of Guru within. What is the nature of that which instructs the consciousness to know itself? What is the nature of that which guides one to one's own existence? That one shows the way to bliss, the very bliss that is the supreme measure. As for what the senses can tell you about this, all that is seen is nothing. Verse 10. I myself am the support of all. I myself am happiness beyond happiness. This is the supreme measure. All this that is seen is nothing. All that ever appears upon some substrate. What is it? All that ever changes is held up by some changeless substrate. What is that support? This entire universe is held up, as it were, by some great power. What is that? What is it that supports the entire universe, but which leans upon nothing in this universe to support it? That which is the support of all, the supportless support of everything. Is your true identity. your real being. That which is the support of all the minds of all beings is the indivisible singular consciousness. It is the ever-existent support. Abandon your misidentifications as so much trivial delusion. And let your identity remain absorbed in that which is the support of all. Hence, I myself am the support of all. I myself am happiness beyond happiness. It is the self's very nature, this great happiness, and it is far beyond any feeling or emotion, let alone anything constructed by thought. Pleasant sensations cannot compare with it. Happiness shines in various experiences, and according to the form of those experiences, the happiness derives really from the self. If traced inwardly, the source is found to be your very being. And such happiness is far beyond any momentary experience of any kind. It is not according to any form. It has no limitations imposed upon it. To remain absorbed in such profound happiness is your natural state. Finding this, in contrast, all this that is seen is nothing. Verse 11. I myself am the great light. I am the self of all. Bliss is the supreme measure. All this that is seen is nothing. The great light is not something to be seen with the eyes. What is seen with the eyes is nothing. The great light is not to be captured in thought. Its greatness lies in its non-conceptual nature. What is the light of all lights? This consciousness, this which is true knowledge in itself, is the nature of I. This is the great light. It is eternal, shining alone. As for the self of all, the very existence of all, one should know, I myself am that. Since I myself am the self of all, there are no others for me. That in which there are no others, which one is simply the self of all, is the state of great bliss, great light, great love. It is the simple truth. Om Namah Shivaya. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.